Imagine this, it's late at night, you're driving home from work, and all of a sudden, your car dies on the freeway. That's what happened to me the other night with this Toyota Corolla. And that actually opened up my mind about how it's very important to have that emergency savings for situations like this. Hi, this is Enrique. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about what happened the other night regarding my vehicle. So as I was driving home, my car decided to act up. The dashboard on my vehicle started acting weird. The ABS light turned on, the battery light turned on, and my car all of a sudden lost power. So I got stranded on the freeway, and I had to eventually call a tow truck and have my vehicle towed to a local mechanic that night. It was probably like around 9-10 p.m. And so there was some cost involved. I had to replace the alternator, I had to replace the battery, and obviously there was labor behind that. So I think it's a lesson that every viewer can learn from. Now, let me go ahead and tell you what happened, how much it cost, and why most Americans struggle in a situation like this. So that night I was driving home on the freeway, and all of a sudden my dashboard started flickering and my car just lost power. So it eventually did stall, so I had to move over to the side of the road to make sure that I don't get hit by other traffic. It was very, very dark. There was a house that was nearby, but I didn't want to interrupt them, especially that late at night. They may think I'm a creeper or some sort of burglar. And so there is a lot of stress when it's late at night, you don't know who to call, you don't know if there's going to be any shops open at that time, you don't know who to look for. What I did was I called around, I called my credit card company. They do have a roadside assistance program. The roadside assistance program was no help. They were not able to locate anybody. So I did have to locate a towing company around my area on my own. Now, it did take an hour for that tow company to arrive, and I did not stay in the vehicle during this period because there was a lot of traffic going by. So I had to step out. It was very, very cold. Luckily, I had a nice jacket. And after the tow truck did arrive, I found out that the fee to tow the vehicle about 10 miles was $225, which my credit card company said they would reimburse. So I think it's great to at least have one credit card company to be able to reimburse these types of towing expenses. If you have the means to, I highly recommend it. And so at first, when I was describing the situation to the tow truck driver, he immediately knew it was the alternator. Automatically, I said, okay, well, at least it's not going to be a very expensive fix if that's the situation. Luckily, I had the mechanic's phone number that I could reach out to that I wanted to get this car fixed at, and he was able to allow me to leave the vehicle outside his shop that night. The following morning, the mechanic did go ahead and diagnose the vehicle and said that it was the alternator and the battery as well. That is where the stress kicked in, where I said, okay, well, how much is it going to cost to fix? Everything has gone up recently. Things are more expensive nowadays. And luckily, he was very reasonable. I was able to get the alternator replaced on my vehicle, the battery, and the labor, $686. So far, I was out of pocket $686, $225 for the tow, and my Uber trip that I took afterwards, which was like another $20. So now I said, well, how am I going to pay for it? Luckily, I do have money set aside for emergencies like this. So in my situation, I didn't have to worry about getting into credit card debt or asking people for loans. That's something that I think is very important for people to be able to have a certain fund set away for things like this, because you just never know. This is over $500, which the majority of people in the United States cannot afford something like that. So it's very important for you to be prepared and to have enough money for situations like this. Luckily, this vehicle is a Toyota, so it's not really expensive to repair. But if you do have a BMW or a Mercedes or any other type of luxury vehicle, you're going to be spending more money to be able to get these types of things replaced. So what I thought when I first had to pay these $600 is, wow, I'm so glad that I had the money set aside for situations like this, because what would I have done if I wouldn't have had this money? Would I have gotten a credit card debt? I would have had to pay interest, or maybe I would have to reach out to a family member and ask them to lend me the money. So like I said, that's why it's very important if you drive a vehicle, you do go ahead and have funds set aside for these types of situations. There's some shocking statistics that have come out. Nearly 40% of Americans cannot afford a $400 emergency response. And so like I said, a lot of people do turn to credit cards, payday loans, to cover these unexpected costs. So imagine adding a high interest debt on top of already a stressful situation. So that's the reality a lot of people are facing right now. And these emergency savings, they give you peace of mind in these types of situations. You avoid high interest credit cards, especially right now. A lot of the credit cards, they actually have been raising their interest rates. That's why it's even more crucial for everybody to start saving now. How much do you aim for situations like this? In my own personal opinion, you should start small, at least $500. Most situations are going to be somewhere around that range. In this particular situation, it was a little bit more, but I think a lot of that has to do with the rising cost of inflation. 5 years ago, I think that this fix would have been around $500. And so my opinion is to be able to save enough money to the point where you at least have 18 months of emergency savings. But for most ordinary Americans, it might be more crucial to at least get anywhere between 3 to 6 months of emergency expenses. Even saving a little bit each month will get you to that goal. If you haven't watched my other videos in the past, I've highly recommended that you take baby steps when it comes to saving, because if you automatically look at the amount of money that you would have to save, it seems like an unsurmountable amount. But if you do it week by week or month by month, it will be a lot easier for you. So one of the things that's very important that a lot of people can start doing is if they do have a savings account, they can set up a transfer of $10 to $20 here and there, here and there. They can set up a transfer of $10 or $20 every paycheck or every time you get paid. Just do small transfers, and little by little, that emergency savings will grow. Also, cut back on unnecessary expenses. A lot of people have a lot of subscriptions that they subscribe to that they don't even use. So you do want to go ahead and monitor that. And any subscriptions that you have, go ahead and cancel them if you're not using them, and allocate that money towards your emergency savings. Also, if you're going out a lot to eat, cut down on that. Cut down on the amount of times that you go out to eat per week and allocate that money towards your emergency savings. If you do have a regular wage job, maybe try to find a way that you can go ahead and start another source of income, some sort of side hustle or a gig, something that will generate extra income that you can go ahead and use that money to build up your emergency savings. Also, if you have stuff at the house that you are not currently using, get rid of it. Any extra $10, $20, $30, $100, anything that you don't use in your house, sell it. Put that money towards your emergency savings. And you also have a lot of apps out there online that you can actually use to be able to help you to also transfer extra money. So the key here is to consistently save. Just like anything in life, repetition. So if you want to get to your goal, you have to continue to do it. You have to continue to do it. Don't stop, and you will eventually reach your goal. Breaking down on the freeway at night is very scary. You might not know who to turn to. You might not have that support system. But the financial aspect makes it even more stressful. The fact that you don't know if you're going to have the money to be able to pay for the repair that will eventually have to happen, to get your car back on the road and to be able to keep continuing making your daily income. Having that emergency savings for me was a lifesaver. So if you've been putting off building an emergency fund, let this be your wake-up call. You never know when life will throw you a curveball. Have you ever faced a situation like this? How did you handle it? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. Start saving today, even if it's just a little. Your future self will thank you. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this video here today. Please continue to watch my content. I'll continue to provide good videos that I think will benefit you and make you a better person. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.